My name is Dennis Clark, and I'm the director and choreographer of Legally Blonde. I still do some acting performance on the stage, as well as directing and choreography. Outside of the arts, I'm also a certified gemologist appraiser, because everybody should have a real job. I worked in the jewelry industry for about 4 years full time before I decided that wasn't really right for me. So now I still freelance, I do some appraisal work.
My name is Sunny Smith, and I'm playing Chutney, and I'm also playing about 5 or 6 other roles. I teach acting at Booker High School in their Visual and Performing Arts department, and outside of that, I also work very part-time retail clothing job, and I'm a co-owner in a film company, and I'm also a member of Source Theater here in Sarasota. Seems like I don't sleep, which I kind of sometimes don't, but...
My name is Miranda Wolf, and I play Elle Woods. I'm 16. I go to Manatee School for the Arts, so we have a big arts program, but I do more community theater than school theater. My side job is my friend and I are Anna and Elsa, and we perform for kids' birthdays.
I always loved music. I fell into musical theater because it's a combination of theater and music, and that's where my passion lies. When I was in 5th grade, I auditioned for the 6th grade musical, and I did not get in. It kind of spurred my interest to learn more about it. I was a performer first before I became a director, and that's where I started out.
I knew probably from the time I was about 4 that I wanted to be an actor. I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater when I was 4 years old. I came home and I told my mom, oh my gosh, I want to be Princess Leia. And she said, well, that's an actor playing that role. And I said, well, I want to be an actor then. Seeing a stage production was very different. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and it was Cats. And I really don't remember anything about the production other than the way the actors moved and the costumes. And I remember thinking, this is so cool. People can be cats. So seeing it kind of blew my mind, and I thought, wow, I can do anything as an actor. That's cool.
I saw The Lion King on tour when I was 7 years old, and that's what made me fall in love with theater.
I've been involved in theater since I was about 11, so that's 27 years.
About 30 years.
7 years.
Growing up, I used to do community theater back home in New York, so I had roots in community theater. Working as a director with professionals versus community theater, it's always interesting because it seems like a lot more work in community theater. It makes me think different ways, where if I don't have a particular actor for a role, I'm missing something, I try and think of it in a different way and say, well, maybe I could use this person and kind of change the way the role is performed. So it gets me to think of shows in different ways, so I think that's really valuable. And you have budget restrictions too. It's good because I think it makes you think outside the box more because it forces you to. Where when you work professionally, it's all up to you if you want to think outside the box.
There's a reason we call community theater. Everyone's involved. You gotta like that process.
Working with such a variety of people in community theater, meeting all these people who share a common interest and have these different experiences as you find people from all walks of life, rather than when you're in a professional business and everyone's very cutthroat, this is what we do, and it's very one type of person. Whereas here you could find a teacher and a lawyer and somebody who works at the bakery down the street, and they all have these hidden talents that you can learn from them as a person. That's honestly the best part.
These people that are in the room with you, you're probably going to know and work with all your life. And in our world, it's true. It's a small world.
We all have a separate vision of how we want to present things or what we would like to do for the show. We're independent units in the sense of we create our own things, but we all fall under the umbrella of the show that I'm directing and what that whole vision is. I tend to allow artists to be artists, and I'd be like, you're the set designer, what do you see for the set? Same goes for costumes or lighting. I really try and step back and let them do what they're gonna do. I probably have the most connection with costumes, because that's directly related to the actors and who they are and what we've created. So that's probably the one I have the most interaction with in order to have a cohesive vision.
My school goes from 9:45 to 4:35. So right after school, it's coming here 4 days a week, or we'll have rehearsal at school and then we'll come straight here. So it's rehearsal every day.
On average, early on, it's about 4 to 5 hours a day outside of rehearsal, and then 3 here, so maybe about 8 or 9 hours a day. Now it would just be the 3 to 4 hours that we're here at night.
Minimum 30 hours a week to 50, 60, 70, depending on the week. And then that doesn't include the time that I would spend auditioning, prepping materials, anything like that, reading plays. I pretty much live theater.
Theater has been mostly my life. It does take away from having a normal teenage life. We're here constantly. The theater is my second home. It's just a lot of bringing your homework back and forth. Luckily, I have a school that understands when we do have conflict. I'm in a lot of college classes, and so keeping up with those while doing shows, it can be tough.
Finding that balance, sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you have to limit the proportion of time you spend with significant other or friends, loved ones. Some weeks there's a lot more time you have to spend. It's all about communication, and when somebody knows who you are and what feeds your soul, they're willing to accept that we may have limited time, but that time that we spend together will be quality.
Because I've been all over the place, it's really hard to establish a relationship with someone. Financially, it's a sacrifice. You're barely making enough, to scrape by. So you have to really love what you're doing.
It's difficult to live as an actor financially. I do what I can to stay in the industry, and then I also work a part-time job that is not theatrically related at all. Many actors have to take that route, especially if you're living in New York or in LA. You're probably waitressing, or you're working in some other capacity for a theater, maybe in their box office or marketing, something like that. And then you're out there auditioning and trying to get a show. It's really challenging, and I know so many people that are doing the exact same thing I am.
It's a tough industry because there's so many talented people and you have to be the right person. But once you get out to the bigger ponds, rejection is hard, with expecting not to get 100 shows before you get one. The hours, the lack of sleep.
Especially in community theater, coming up with what's going to work with what you have, meaning there's always a few roles that I'm not able to cast, so I'm always looking in the community to finish out the cast. That sometimes forces me to readjust what the cast is, erase some roles out of the show that are lesser important, and condense some things and combine some roles to make larger roles, just because we don't have the people available. Being able to create something but adjust it on its feet.
The other hard thing can be is changing people's minds about the arts and why they're beneficial, and getting people in the seats. We have a certain demographic of people that, especially in Sarasota, that live in these seats. It can be difficult sometimes when you can watch whatever you want at home to get people to come to a theater and watch a live show. But the system doesn't work in a supportive way for actors and others in the theater as it does for, let's say, someone who gets training in welding. There's a value for that. You can make ships, you can work for private companies, whereas when I tell people, I have an MFA in acting, sometimes they're like, why would you do that with your time? Or storytellers, it's something we're passionate about. We have to convince them, you need this in your life, just like you need ships that can float on water.
As a performer, it's usually a sad thing to let go of a show that you've kind of had so much fun creating and developing and performing. For me, usually I let go as soon as it's open. The week or two leading up to opening is very hectic. It always seems to be scrambling somehow, and everybody's really exhausted, and you put in really long days to get the show up and running. So I usually take a deep breath and enjoy sleeping in the next day. And at the same time, you're very proud usually too of what they've accomplished and what you've accomplished in creating something.
You're exhausted because you just did a show for like 6 weeks straight with rehearsals and running this crazy thing.
Oh, I've definitely not wanted to let go of a show. And sometimes it's because the show has maybe opened me up as an artist, and it's something beautiful and you just are so afraid to let it go. And sometimes it's the people you work with that you don't want to let go of.
You get to miss those people and miss doing it every night, but that's when you go on and do the next show and tell the next story.
I recently just decided that I might want to go back and get my master's, so I'm looking at master's programs for directing. So ideally in 5 years, I would be done with that. It's hard to decide if I want to continue freelancing as a director and just do things everywhere, or if I would like to establish my own theater company.
I'm hoping to get into a top musical theater college. That would be the goal right now. Hopefully by that point, I'll be working to get out into the real world and pursue this as a career. And to be on Broadway, that would be the end goal. I've always wanted to work on a cruise ship. That would be something that I would love to do with my life, is travel and perform.
I don't know where I'll be. I'm in limbo right now. The literal where I'm going is the part that I'm confused on. What I will be doing is the part that I'm not confused on. I'll be doing what I'm doing now. I'll be acting, I'll be teaching, I'll be directing, I'll probably be learning new skills, but I know I'm going to be doing the same things that I'm doing, no matter how the format of the rest of my life changes or what location I'm in. If I'm in a place that has no theater, I'll make theater happen. If I am in a booming metropolis where every other person is an actor, I'm still going to be an actor and I'm still going to be doing my craft.